Hello, everyone. I'm David Tollen from Tech Contracts Academy, and I'm here with some interesting news, something interesting to think about for contract drafters, for lawyers who draft contracts, for contract managers, procurement staff, etc. And it's about where our jobs are going. This is a source of a lot of concern nowadays, particularly with the rise of generative AI. And there's this combination of excitement and dread that a lot of us feel as we approach generative AI. The excitement part is it's cool and it's fun to play with and it could make our jobs easier. In fact, that's what the AI companies are mostly saying. There's, certainly the ones selling to us is these tools are going to make your job easier. You'll go faster. Everything will be better. But there are pundits on the other side who are saying more distressing things about where generative AI takes our jobs. And you probably have heard those comments also. The idea, for instance, that the AIs will eventually take our jobs altogether, that it won't be necessary to have us drafting contracts. This guy on the screen will be drafting contracts. I don't actually consider that the more realistic type of concern. I think more realistic concerns about where this could go is the AI is highly democratizing, which is a good thing. And it means that more and more people can do things like draft contracts well because the tools make it easier to do that. And that reduces the need for specialists like us. That is, I think, a real concern. And I think after a period of the AI doing the wonderful service of making our jobs easier, we could go down that road, although it is nothing, nowhere near certain. So I'm actually not here to blow sunshine up anything on that issue. I think that that is a concern, but I've also identified a related role that we are uniquely qualified for, a central activity in the 21st century that we're already trained for. And that is what's often called prompt engineering. By that, I mean the task of writing a prompt that will get the output that you're looking for out of artificial intelligence. Now, it sounds too easy to be anybody's career, but I'm really talking about very complex prompt engineering. You need to get a very complex set of images for a marketing campaign or for artwork. You need to get a engineering layout for the fair you're going to be putting on. You need to get messaging for a marketing campaign. You need to get computer software. You need to get information. You need to do research on a complex topic. That's what I'm talking about. And the ability to extract that stuff from artificial intelligence is harder than you might think unless you've tried it. You get very questionable answers. The great news I'm here to talk about is we are oddly, coincidentally, 90% trained to do this already. We already we write contracts in the way that you really need to write queries for artificial intelligence. And I've got a personal example of my own recent experience. I was doing some research, stuff that I would just take forever to find online. So I was trying to get some different AI models to help me about the size of the market for nonfiction and fiction and how it has grown over the past 40 years. This is the kind of thing that crazy people like me, authors, worry about and think about. And I was trying to get information and I used ChatGPT and didn't get very far. And I tried Claude from Anthropic and Microsoft Copilot, and I was having a lot of trouble, and I started to try to solve it by really refining my prompts very, very clearly and carefully. So look at the prompt here on the screen, which is an example of what I did and of what I think we're uniquely trained to do. How many fiction and nonfiction words are published in English per year per English speaker, and how has that number changed in the last 40 years? That's already a pretty detailed prompt compared to what gets put into a lot of AI, but I went way beyond that. I started doing stuff that will probably be very familiar to you. I defined my terms. I wanted that single sentence to pack into it all kinds of defined concepts. So you'll see, for instance, the second bullet on the screen. Fiction and nonfiction words refers to words published to educate, entertain, or both, and does not include purely commercial messages like words published on websites, brochures, or television commercials, etc. All of these these 4 different bullets I added in further refined the search, and the skills that I used to figure out what to do and to state it as clearly as possible, that's my contract drafting skills. And that is what I think that we are all quite well prepared to do already. Why is that? Think about what it is that we do. We write for a very brain dead, smart audience. Brain dead and smart. So we know that contracts that we write are going to, if there's a problem, are going to be scrutinized with great care. People are going to look with great detail. Subtle nuances are going to go badly. Social context is not going to be there. It's going to be a highly technical, very detail-oriented review of what the contract says. And so we need to speak in utter clarity. We need to be pedantic at a level you'd be embarrassed to be in a regular conversation between people. In other words, we need to write like we're talking to a smart, brain-dead person, which is what you also need to do when you're communicating with a computer. The same kind of writing style gets you the best prompts when you're speaking to a generative AI. I often say to my students, I teach a class on contract drafting at UC Berkeley Law School, and I have our own programs here at techcontracts.com. I often say our job is actually a great deal like the job of the computer programmer. We're writing for this similar brain dead smart audience. Well, even more so when you're talking about artificial intelligence, when you're talking about writing prompts for AI. And the news about that, by the way, gets even better. So an interesting comment recently from the Patent and Trademark Office in the US was that although there's a lot of battle and dispute over when and whether, what's the line between human inventorship and AI inventorship, and only a human can be an inventor and get a patent. One thing that the PTO did suggest, at least, is that it might be possible to give a patent in the future to the author of a prompt for an output that was patentable. In other words, the skill, the expertise, the inventiveness necessary to write the prompt to make the thing that is patentable might make you the inventor. You could be the IP generator. And I don't know if that's really going to happen. And it also remains to be seen how that goes for copyrights, but it is a potential for a very big future. So what should you do, particularly if your company is not letting you use AI? I'd say there's not a lot to do now except continue to refine your skills in your day-to-day work, drafting and negotiating contracts. But if you can, get out there and practice with AI, with generative AI, and practice getting very complex information and suggestions out of it. There's hallucinations to be figured out, and that's a whole other topic for another video. For now, just focus on extracting complex answers, getting the details you want. Do research on complex questions like my highly detailed question about nonfiction and fiction words in the English language. Try and create images that are exactly what you want, highly detailed images. The better you get at that, the better you are, I think, at exploiting this future potential market. But the good news, as I said, is I think you're probably something like 90% there. A quick note, we teach these skills, not the prompt engineering, but the contract drafting. We teach attorneys and contract managers and procurement officers and other business people at techcontracts.com to draft and negotiate contracts about software as a service, other cloud services, on-premise software, artificial intelligence, any IT contract. We have on-demand programs that are recorded training that you get to keep for a year in most cases and use it as a manual. We have live webinars, we have in-house, in-person training, and we can do bundles of those things. So you can buy training for a whole team and get a bundle of offerings, or you can buy trainings individually. So that's all available to you. Thank you for joining us, and I hope we'll see you again soon.